It's a pleasure to have you on. Welcome to the Holistic Kid Show. My name is Zane.
My name is Imad.
And my name is Catherine.
We're the Holistic Kid Show as we ask kids from the inside out. We have talked a lot about how we can use nature to heal our mind, body, and soul. But can you actually use nature?
No,
Yes,
wait, are you saying take a plant and rub it to heal? That would be amazing.
Not exactly, but maybe. They have taken some medicines from nature like aspirin that came from white willow tree. So could we use other plants to help us?
That's a great question. And we can't wait to talk to our next guest, Miss Jennifer Payeur, the founder behind Nature Provides. Thank you, Miss Payeur, for joining us today.
Also, is that how you
be here with you.
pure? How is it?
I said it's an honor to be here with you.
Oh, sorry. But how do you pronounce your last name?
Payeur, like a tax
Payeur.
pay.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you. We just want to clarify. So yeah, please tell us more about your story and how you got here.
Yeah. So I work with plant stem cells. This is what they look like. They are a tincture. I was a corporate executive and I was working a lot of hours with high stress, traveling virtually every week. And I had two major health crises. The first one launched me into studying nature and healing with nature and looking at energy in nature. And then the second health crisis many years later is what brought me to these beautiful plant stem cell remedies. And that is what really changed my life. It changed what I do for a living. It changed what I'm passionate about and what I use to help others heal.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is amazing.
So, can you please tell us about your stem cells?
Sure. Yeah. So many people are familiar with human stem cells. Plant stem cells are similar but different. So they're similar in how they act in the body, but they're different because they come from the new growth on the plant in the springtime. So how many of you guys, when the weather gets nicer, go outside and you see like flowers coming onto the trees and how beautiful it is? So in that growth phase in the springtime, that's where all the stem cells in the plant reside. So we call that like gemotherapy is the medical term, but it really is from the bud of the plant. And that bud contains all of this really amazing healing properties that support the body and coming back into balance.
Wow, that really is amazing. So, what does the stem cells? What do they do?
Like, do they affect our body or something?
Yeah,
they do. They affect your body, your mind, and your emotions. So that's the beautiful thing about plants. So plants have an intelligence, and plants are known as balancers. And these plants in particular do three things. First, they clean up the body. So I've seen you guys on your podcast before talking about the toxins in our food, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You go to the grocery store and you're like, look at what's in this food.
Mm-hmm.
So the toxins in the food, we have toxins in the air that we're breathing. I learned last year that tire dust. So when the tires are rotating on the car, it's putting out this tire dust and we're breathing that in. So we've got toxins in our lungs, we have toxins in our food, we have toxins in our water. So what these plant stem cells do is they clean up those toxins. So they go into the cells, they go into the tissue of the body, and they go into the organs. And they're literally pulling those toxins out. They're known as drainers. So they're drainage remedies. And then they do two other things. So the second thing they do is they bring the communication network online in the body. So for me, one of my health crises was cancer 10 years ago. And so what happens when a person has cancer is the immune system doesn't recognize that all these cells are kind of going out of control. So what these drainage remedies do is they bring that communication network back into integrity or back into coherence. And now everything's working together in the body, and the body can recognize, oh, there's a virus. Oh, there's a parasite. Oh, there's a pathogen. So it helps the body see and communicate. And then the third thing they do is they regenerate things that are broken down. So I know people that have had carotid arteries because of heart issues, and these will clean those up and generate new arteries while it's cleaning up in the process, so that the body doesn't have to overcompensate.
So are there any other specific like flowers or any other plants that can also like do they have like what do they also do like to help? Do they help?
Yes,
Like these
they
other
do.
flowers?
They do. And so a plant stem cell is basically an undifferentiated cell. So it is the cell before it becomes a flower, or before it becomes a leaf, or before it becomes the bark on the tree. And most of these come from trees, or they come from bushes, like the blackberry bush. That's called bramble, is the name of that. So there are some plants. Cowberry is mountain cranberry, and those are low plants to the ground. So these come from all of the new parts of the plant, typically in the springtime, because that's when plants regenerate. So that's when they're available to be able to pick. And all of those little buds are off the trees, are picked in the wild in the Italian Alps. So they're not sprayed with anything, no pesticides, no herbicides. They're not weathered by, all the things in our environment.
That's what we really need. We need more, we need more plants that aren't sprayed with so much of these pesticides, because it really does just hurt them.
And these chemicals.
Exactly, because those chemicals, our bodies can't handle it. And so that's a part of what's making so many people sick.
Yeah, wow.
How do you get the plant stem cells anyway?
Yeah, so they just exist naturally in that little bud on the tree. And so in that phase of growth, they also contain something, this is a long word, but juvenile phytohormones. So I'll break that down for you. So juvenile just means young, right? A juvenile, a child. And phyto means light, and hormones, right? Which is what helps us grow, helps grow our hair and everything else. So juvenile phytohormones, they only exist in that phase of growth for the plant. And that's what makes these so special and unique. That's what gives them all of their properties to be able to clean up the body and help things regenerate that are broken down.
That is amazing.
Amazing.
So go ahead.
You can continue.
You can continue.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the questions I get asked often is, why haven't I ever heard of these things before? So the reason that you haven't, so these are fairly well known in Europe. So if you went to Italy, or you went to Belgium, or you went to Romania, most of the people there have heard of these. But they just haven't made their way to the United States. So part of what my mission is to educate about them, because they are a very important part of our healing for anybody that has toxins. And, you guys, I know your mom takes very good care of you, and I know that you are probably as healthy as can be. But most people, as they age, they collect these toxins in their body. And so to me, this is a really amazing plant remedy that will prevent things from happening and help people stay healthy. If you're healthy, and if you have a chronic issue, they will help resolve and bring back into balance your body from that chronic issue.
What other conditions have you used this on?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, you have really great questions. So I work with all kinds of conditions, because, a lot of people have gut issues. Leaky gut is a very common thing right now. We're seeing a lot of heart issues and imbalances, arrhythmias in the heart. Cancer, which is, what I had 10 years ago, really, really wonderful for cleaning up the body with cancer. They're good for hormones, really good for brain fog. So one of the unique things about plants is they have an affinity to body parts or body systems and to organs. So you have a plant like rosemary that, this is one of the plants that I have right here. Rosemary is really good for the liver. And it's also good for the brain. That's one of the things that I love about plants is they do a lot of things in the body. So they are really, really amazing for helping us get healthy.
Yeah, plants are very amazing.
Yes. People don't really realize it. Like, oh, plants. I'm not yummy.
Yeah, a lot of, I mean, it's kind of like it has to do with like ungratitude. Like they've lost the view on how beautiful nature is. So then they just decide to create their own foods, which is a big issue, and it's not helping us. So it's really important to go back to the plants.
Yeah,
So,
and one of the things that I tell people, Zane, is that plants were here long before humans were. And so I look to plants as our teachers. They're our elders, right? And nature is always adapting. So, if one year we have a lot of rain, the plants have to adapt. And then the next year we have a flood or we have fires, the plants are constantly adapting. And so they bring that quality to our bodies when we take them. So when we work with plants, they're bringing that adaptogenic nature to us because viruses are tricky, bacteria get tricky, right? So they're always mutating and changing. And so plants can kind of follow that same process and stay one step ahead of those type of pathogens that we have to deal with.
wow. Yeah, there's so much that plants have to, and we still have a lot to discover about these amazing living things. So it's really important to go back to nature. So, yeah.
Are there different like plant stem cells for different conditions?
Yes, there are. These juvenile phytohormones that I mentioned, there is something called auxins and gilbillarins and cytokinins and something like brazinosteroids. So those are just four of them that I mentioned. Brazinosteroids help to clean up our microRNA. So they're actually working on our DNA and our microRNA levels. And that's what they're known for. Auxins are basically a growth hormone. And so they're going to help things like your hair grow. They're going to help regenerate things that are broken down. So each one of those juvenile phytohormones has a specific mechanism of action in the body that it will do.
Wow. Amazing.
Amazing.
So
if we eat plants,
will we become plants?
No.
No, I mean, will we get the stem cells? No, we're not becoming plants.
No, because you're eating usually an adult plant at that point. And so you're not getting those juvenile phytohormones that exist in the plant stem cells. Now, if you went out in the springtime, where do you live again?
Chicago.
You're in Chicago. So in the springtime, like in March or April, and all those little buds come on the trees, I'm sure if you went and picked those little buds and you ate those, I don't know how good they would taste, but you would get the stem cells from the plants.
Wow. I mean, that really is amazing. So do stem cells detoxify? Like, do they get rid of the toxins in your body?
They do. And one of the unique properties that they have is, have you ever heard of a Herxheimer reaction or a Herx reaction?
No.
Okay. So what that means is a lot of people that want to go do a parasite cleanse or a liver cleanse, and they start taking something, because they don't have a way to get those toxins out of the body, they can experience brain fog. nausea, they have flu-like symptoms. And so one of the beautiful things about these plant remedies is if your liver is congested and you can't get the toxins out, they will go and to the next organ and recruit that organ to get the toxins out. So you don't have that really strange Herxheimer reaction where you feel yucky when you're detoxing. They're super, super gentle. And I've worked with babies like 6 months old with these, and I've worked with 94-year-olds. So even people that are really, really sensitive, these work really well in helping to clean up the body.
So can kids use stem cells? What specific plant stem cells can be good for us?
Yeah. So tell me what do you work on every day for your health?
Oh, for our health.
Oh,
Well, you
Yeah.
should hydrate. You
Yeah.
should exercise. Make sure to sleep well. Meditate, kind of relieve stress, and then eat well. Don't eat a lot of processed foods. Instead of focus on real foods, but don't have ultra processed foods. Processed foods are better, but make sure that they're organic and non-GMO, because that would make it more natural when it comes to we don't want the chemicals to get inside of the food.
Right.
So
So
those are like
do you
some
ever
powerful
go ahead.
plants.
Do you ever feel stressed? Or do you
I
ever have
mean,
trouble sleeping?
here's the thing with stress is that stress is like we need stress, but we shouldn't like have bad stress. Like there are different
Right.
types of stress. So to limit bad stress, it's good to like meditate and stuff.
Yeah, so there are really good plants for kids like linden tree. You've probably never heard of that. It comes from the silver linden tree. And that is really good for your nervous system. And that's why I was asking you if you ever had stress. So it's a really good plant that I use a lot with children that have anxiety. Like if you're having a big test coming up and you're a little bit anxious about it or nervous, or if you have some anxiety about sleeping, it's really good for cleaning up the nervous system in the brain, and it helps you sleep. It helps everything calm down. That's a one I use a lot with kids. And another one is passion flower. That one I use a lot for kiddos with ADHD that have trouble focusing, and all of that. And then probably my third plant that I use with kids is called black currant. And that is the best plant for inflammation, no matter where the inflammation is coming from. So if you're playing any sports and you hurt yourself and your knee swells up or anything like that, black currant is the plant that I would use for kids in that case to help get the inflammation out of their body.
like fruits, like some fruits, like bananas, they're like from like the tree. And
Yeah.
do they also, because like trees have also stem cells, right? So like since the bananas, would they like get it in the youth or like no?
Yeah, so we don't have a banana tincture, but this coming year we're going to have a pomegranate tincture.
Ooh.
And pomegranates are such amazing fruits, right? So we do have raspberry, we have blackberry, and we're going to be bringing in pomegranate. So those are three fruits that in that case, it's usually coming from the germinating seed of that plant instead of the bud on the tree. And that is where the stem cells reside in fruits, is in the seeds. So blackcurrant, Nigella or black cumin is another one.
Wow.
Do these have any side effects?
That's a great question too. Nope, no side effects, which is the beautiful thing about it. And this goes back to the comment that plants are always trying to balance things. The only plants that I would ever be concerned about with somebody is white willow. And you mentioned that in the beginning, that's aspirin. And a plant called maidenhair tree, which is also known as ginkgo biloba. Those two plants are blood thinners. And so if somebody is already on a blood thinner, those would be two plants that I would not work with that person. But other than that, no side effects, and very, very gentle to use any of the plants with somebody.
So how does someone take these tinctures?
You can take them two ways. Mostly you take them internally. So if you see here, these have a dropper. So you can either put them directly in your mouth, or you can put them in some water and sip them. Or I've had people who've actually put them on topically. So if somebody is dealing with, like we have arnica. So arnica is one of our plant stem cells, and I'm sure you've heard of that. That's good for inflammation and swelling and things like that. And so some people will actually put that on, like if they have a shoulder issue, they'll put it on topically and take it internally, and it helps speed up their healing process. And some taste really good and some don't taste good at all.
Arnica.
Arnica, it's really good.
So this is so powerful.
So powerful.
So powerful.
It's really powerful that nature has so much healing properties. And thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. We love giving our listeners hope, and that there's so much that we can do to help our bodies. So where can we learn more about you and your amazing work?
Well, I have several exciting projects I've been working on. The first is I wrote a book called Ancient Plant Wisdom, and you can find that on Amazon and in Barnes and Noble and also at Walmart. And the ebook just came out as well. So that's available. And I have a documentary coming out in March that is all about my healing journey. And I was so fortunate to have my dear friend Mary Agnes and Isabel fly to Italy and actually film the process from the beginning of picking the buds and looking at them being macerated. And then there's a spagyric part to this. Have you ever heard of spagyrics?
Nope.
No.
Okay, so that's an ancient alchemical process where after the plants soak in the organic grape alcohol, they pull the plant material out, they press it and they burn it and they put the ash back in. And what that does is it brings all the minerals of the plant into this tincture, and then it gets spiralized, and so it gets structured. So it's a really, really amazing process. And then the last place you can find me is on my website. It's nature-provides.com. And you can learn all about my story and how I found these beautiful plant remedies, or I say they found me, and how I have the beautiful purpose of bringing these out to the world and being the steward of these plants.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Amazing.
So thank you so much, Miss Jennifer. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your time and wisdom today.
Let's recap Miss Jennifer's key points. Nature can heal. Stem seeds are commonly used in medicine.
Stem cells.
Stem cells are commonly used in medicine. But why not use plant stem cells? Because they do a lot of things in the body. Like, why?
It's also really important to realize that plants have a lot of intelligence. They help to clean up the body. Plant cells clean up the body. They put out the toxins from the body. They bring back communication networks, help the body see and communicate. They can regenerate things that are broken down. Most people, as their age can collect toxins in their bodies. So these plant remedies can help the world. So this was so powerful. Thank you so much. And so make sure to check her book and her website. Her book is Ancient Plant Wisdom.
Yes.
So check it out today.
Thank you all so much. You're amazing hosts. You had great questions, and I really appreciate all the things you're doing to bring awareness, to heal, and give people information. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
It really is our pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Kids need to learn from other kids. Please download our podcast on iTunes and leave a review so other kids and families can benefit. We need to work together to create a healthy future for all of us and the planet. Join us next week for another episode of Kids Are Kids.
Thank you, everyone.